sons. Thanks for your home efforts and I hope you're doing well. Last section we studied Buddhism. Today we're gonna study section 4 Indian empires. Open your book, page number 142. Indian empires. In the last section we studied that the Buddhism became a major religion in India because of the great king was called Azuka. Today inshallah we're gonna study the great grandfathers of Azuka. Have a look for the title Indian empires. Indian empires. So we're gonna talk about the history of India and how was India in the past. For centuries India was divided into small states. Each state had its own ruler and no central government. It means what, dear guys? India was no economy and no government. No economy and no what? And no government. So India in the past was nothing. What was nothing. What will happen? Then in 300 BC, Alexander the Great took over a part of northern western of India. But take care, Alexander the Great is a foreign conqueror. He is not Indian person. So what will happen? His influence continued to affect Indian society, but his armies soon left and go away out of India. What is the reason? Because he was a foreign conqueror. A foreign conqueror. So who will unify India? Have a look for this. The title here, dear guys, Mauryan Empire unifies India. We don't know who will be responsible to unify India and what's his name. Have a look for this. In 320 BC, a military leader named Chandragupta Maurya. His name is what? Chandragupta Maurya. And in some Indian words, Chandra. But here, Chandragupta Maurya. Who was Chandragupta Maurya? Chandragupta Maurya, dear sons, was the great grandfather of Azuka, which we mentioned in the previous section. Okay. Chandragupta Maurya started to control the entire northern part of India. And his empire was called the Mauryan Empire. The Mauryan what? The Mauryan Empire. So, who unified India in the past? Say, Chandragupta Maurya. Chandragupta Maurya. And his empire was what was called the Mauryan Empire. The Mauryan what? The Mauryan Empire. But let's ask ourselves some questions. Number one, how many years did the Mauryan Empire rule? How many years did the Mauryan Empire rule? Have a look for this, the Mauryan Empire. Who created the Mauryan Empire? Before forgetting this, yeah, Chandragupta Maurya. How many years the Mauryan Empire rule? Have a look for this. They ruled what? They ruled 150 years. They ruled 150 years. They ruled 150 years. So, if I ask you who created the Mauryan Empire, you're gonna tell me Chandragupta Maurya, but we don't know who was Chandragupta Maurya. Who was Chandragupta Maurya? Have a look. Let's know some information about Chandragupta Maurya. First, how did Chandragupta rule his empire? Did he rule the empire alone, or he started to unify and to create a government to help him to rule India? Have a look. How did Chandragupta rule his empire? He ruled his empire with the help of a complex government. But take care, in the past there was no government and also no economy. But here, at the age of Chandragupta rule, there was a complex government. Government included a network of spies and a huge army of 600,000 soldiers. So if I ask you, how did Chandragupta rule his empire? You have to tell me he ruled his empire with the help of a complex government, included a network of spies and a huge army of 600,000 soldiers. So he didn't rule alone. He created and he made a complex government Okay, this government included what? Included a network of spies and a huge army of 600,000 of what? Of soldiers. Okay, but have a look for this. But in 301 BC, Chandragupta decided to be a Jainist monk. A Jainist what? A Jainist monk. It means what? What do I mean by monk? Monk is what? Is a religious man. Monk is what? Is a religious man. And I think most of us watched the movie Nun. Nun means what? A religious woman. So monk is a religious man, and the nun is what? Is a religious woman. A religious what? A religious woman. It means what? Responsible for what? For the religious issues in what? In temples, and also in what? In the state. So what do I mean by Chandragupta became what? Became a Jainist monk. It means that he will leave the position for what? For his what? His dynasty. Means he became a religious Indian man, and he left the rule to his grandson Asoka. Asoka again. Who was Asoka? Yeah, Asoka was a great king who was the main reason to spread what? Buddhism in India. Have a look for this in the second page. Asoka. So in a sequence, Chandragupta was the great-grandfather of what? Of Asoka, and after many years, he became what? He became a Jainist monk, and he left what? He left the rule for what? For his grandson Asoka. So we know nothing about what? We know nothing about Asoka. Who was Asoka? Look at this. Asoka became a king around what? Around 270 BC. Asoka was one of the strongest Mauryan ruler, so he was so strong. If the king is strong, it means that he is gonna rule a strong what? A strong state. A strong what? A strong state. How was India under Asoka's rule? Was India weak? We don't know. Was India strong? We don't know. Let's get this. How was India under what? How was India under Asoka's rule? India became strong and rich. Why? India became strong and rich. Why? What did Asoka do? First, Asoka converted to Buddhism. Asoka converted to Buddhism. So his great-grandfather Chandragupta Maurya was what? A Jainist monk, and Asoka became what? Became a Buddhism man. A Buddhism man. So he stopped the fight bloody. No fight, no wars. Okay? And focused on what? Building and improving the area. What did he do again? He converted to Buddhism, he stopped the fight, and he focused on what? He focused on building and what? And improving the area. Also, what did he do for what? For India to become what? To become rich and what? And strong. He had wells dug, so he started to what? He started to build the state from inside. He didn't care about what? The battles and the fight. He focused on what? On building and what? And the economy of what? Of India. The economy of what? The economy of India. So he had wells dug and the roads built throughout what? Throughout empire. What did he do also? He encouraged the spread of Buddhism. He was the main reason to what? To the Buddhism religion to be what? To be spread in what? In all India and out of India, to be what? To be a major religion. What? A major religion in what? In Asia. In what? In Asia. So he encouraged the spread of Buddhism in what? In India, and what? And we mentioned this before. He sent what? Missionaries to what? To lands all over Asia. So his what? His main task to build the India what? The Indian people, and what? To let them to be strong, and they started to send what? To send the religious men out of what? Out of India to what? To make the Buddhism religion spread in what? In all over what? Asia. After Asoka died, what happened? After Asoka died in what? In 233 BC, his son fought each other. So we started with Chandragupta Maurya, a strong king. Then he started to what? He started to be a Jainist monk. And after that, Asoka was the strongest king in what? In India. But after his death, his sons started to fight each other. Started to fight what? Each other. Why? For power. For what? For power. In 184 BC, the last Mauryan king was killed by one of what? One of his own generals. So the Indian Empire maybe will fall down. Mauryan king was killed by what? By one of his what? His own generals. The empire began to fall apart and India divided into smaller states once again. So before Chandragupta Maurya, India and what? India was what? Was nothing. It was what? It was divided into what? A lot of states, no economy, no government. After Chandragupta Maurya became a king, he started to what? He started to build. Azuka was the strongest what? The strongest king who built what? India from inside and started to what? To spread the Buddhism religion outside of what? Outside of India, all over what? All over Asia. What would happen? Now, the Mauryan Empire disappeared. So India became what? India became a small state, or divided into what? Smaller states once again. What would happen? What would happen? Imagine India would be ended forever. Maybe India will what? Would start again. We don't know. Let's discover this. A new dynasty would appear. It was what? Gupta dynasty. It was what? Gupta dynasty. So after the last king of what? Of Mauryan was killed by one of his own generals, India divided into smaller what? Smaller states once again. Once what? Once again. What will happen? Let's discover this by ourselves. In the second page, dear guys, follow me. We're gonna know what would happen in India after what? After the last Mauryan king from what? From Azuka's dynasty was killed. Was killed. So now we have what? We have another generation. It's called what? It's called Gupta rulers. Gupta what? Gupta rulers. Under the rule of Gupta, who was one of the Hinduism also, he was Hinduism like what? Like Azuka. Like what? Like Azuka. So Hinduism became what? Became the Indian major religion in what? In India. And also India became again strong and rich. The Gupta kings built many temples. Yeah, if you want to make your what? Your country or what? Or your place is strong, start to build from inside and then protect from outside. From what? From outside. So the Gupta rulers did what? Have a look. They started to what? Started to build what? Many temples for what? For the worship practice. They are what? They are Hinduism, and they started to what? To make the Hinduism the major what? Major religion in what? In India. So they had to build what? Temples. Why temples? Because temples is the best where what? Where the best place to worship gods. May Allah bless us. Okay. So what will happen? Have a look for this. The society under what? Under the Gupta rulers. Have a look. Have a look here, and no Hindu empire. The Gupta what? Gupta rulers in what? In 375, Emperor Chandragupta II, not the first one. Okay, did what? Took the throne in India. So the Gupta society reached its highest point during his rule. Yeah. So India came again. India what? India came again. For what? For the reason of the Gupta rulers. And also we have another Chandragupta what? Chandragupta, or the second Chandragupta. Okay, let's discover this. How was the society? How was the society under what? Under this these what? These rulers. First, you have to know that India reached its highest point during his rule. During his what? His rule. Chandragupta, or the second Chandragupta. The economy became strong. Why? They created fine works of arts and literature. So they started to what? To care about not just building and also art and what? And the literature. How did we know this? From what? From their temples. From what? From their temples. So what will happen? What will happen? Have a look for this. Gobata society, I told you that the society reached what the highest point of what of development, and also what became strong. Why? Because they created fine works of what of art and literature. But what will happen? A group of Central Asia invaded India. Invaded what? Invaded India. Invaded India. So we have what? We have a danger what? A dangerous state here in what? In India. What is this? Invading from outside. Invading what? Invading from outside. Like this picture. Yeah, here for what? For the carrying of what? Art and the literature. And in the second page, yeah, the danger state. What will happen for this? Mister, you said what? You said that a group of what? A group of Central Asia invaded India. But we don't know who was that group. That group was called what? The Huns. The Huns. So if I ask you, what was this group called? You have to tell me what? The Huns. The Huns. So what do I mean by Huns? Central Asia invaded India from what? From north and west. This group was called what? The Huns. So the Huns was the group who invaded India from what? From the northwest. From what? From the northwest. By the middle of 500, Jobata rule had ended, and India had divided into small kingdom yet again. Small kingdom yet what? Yet again. So, Mister, we have what? We have sequence in what? In events. We started, revise with me, we started with what? With the best of what? Of India. There was no economy, no government. India was what? Was divided into small states. And after that what would happen? Yeah, Candra Gobata started to build India from inside and outside, but he became what? He became a Jainist monk. What do I mean by monk? A religious man. And the nun, a religious what? A religious woman. But after what? After a period of time, he started to what? To be a Jainist monk, and he left the position, or he left the rule for what? For his grandson, Asoka. Asoka was a strong king who built India from inside and outside, and started to what? Started to look after the Buddhism, and the Buddhism in his what? In his rule became the major religion for what? For India, and started to spread outside of India to what? To be famous or common in Asia. What happened after Asoka's death? Yeah, most of his sons started to fight together, and the last Mauryan one was killed by what? By his what? One of his generals. One of the general. Next, dear guys, yeah, another period, the Jobata rulers, and we have what? We have the second Candra Gobata Maurya here, the second one, but here India became what? Became strong and rich because of his works in the past. He started to build, and they started to look after temples and what? Art and literature. So India in that time became the strongest in what? In Asia. But when the Huns started to what? To invade India, India was ended. Was ended. Read this again and try to have a look in what? In page number 160. Read the questions, watch the video again, and check your answers here. Have a look. This is what? This is a assessment. Who created the Mauryan Empire? I think we mentioned this. Candra Gobata Maurya. What happened after Asoka became a Buddhist? Yeah, I told you that he started to what? He started to send the religious men to what? All over Asia to what? To make the Buddhism the major religion in what? In Asia and out of what? Out of India. Okay, dear guys, these are the questions, and here what? Revise from here your answers. Thanks for listening, and